It's that time of the morning again. We're looking at the international press with Marie-Noëlle Bauer here on France 24. Hello, Marie-Noëlle.
Hey, Catherine.
The press review might look a little bit different in the next few days because French newspaper Le Monde will be going on strike on Monday, apparently, because of looming staff cuts. That's the first in its history, so sacré bleu. And today also marks the anniversary of another landmark moment in the history of Iraq, the fall of Saddam Hussein's regime in Baghdad. Tell us more.
Indeed, a lot of international newspapers like the New York Times are marking the occasion by featuring blow-by-blow accounts of General Petraeus' appearance before Congress. And, especially in a lot of the American papers. But I found a piece about street children in the Iraqi daily Asaba far more compelling. The journalist follows several of these kids around, including a 10-year-old called Saad, who cleans car windows on Baghdad's biggest streets, an activity which is really dangerous and has cost the lives of several children already. When the journalist asks the child why he doesn't go home, he says his house has no windows, it has no doors, it has no roof. Breaking taboos, most of the kids interviewed admit to being the victims of violence and pedophilia at home, and most are now drug addicts or alcoholics. Psychologists say that this is basically a result of the war, as the families have been blown to bits. There's no more family unit, as it were.
Goodness, how depressing. Well, continuing with the theme of children in distress, a rather horrible story from Texas.
Absolutely. It's in the Houston Chronicle. It's making a lot of noise in the U.S. Apparently, Child Protective Services in the state of Texas have removed 417 children from a remote compound where an obscure religious group was practicing polygamy. Now, it's a renegade branch of the Mormon Church, which has banned polygamy for over a century. Now, 2 men have been arrested in relation to this investigation, which was launched when a 16-year-old girl told a domestic violence shelter she'd been forced to marry a middle-aged man who'd beaten and raped her repeatedly over a year. She'd had a child by him and was pregnant again, which begs the question, why does all this creepy stuff always seem to happen in Texas?
Goodness, well, answers on the postcard for that one. After hearing a story like that, I think it's time for something completely different. Beer in Australia. That's not news, is it?
Well, spare a thought for our Australian mates. According to today's edition of the Sydney Morning Herald, scientists have warned that pesky global warming could cut supplies of beers and make Australians' favorite brews more expensive. This because of the effects that global warming may have on the production of a key grain needed for making beer. I'm talking about malting barley. And worryingly for all you beer guzzlers out there, this might spread worldwide. So barrels of beer could be as precious as barrels of petrol.
Whatever next. Well, you promised us, Marie-Noëlle, something on the look of love. Offbeat scientific research again. The British Daily Mail tells us that a new study has found out how you can distinguish, apparently, a person's attitude towards relationships simply by looking at their face. Now, we take the Daily Mail scientific surveys with a little bit of pinch of salt, but tell us more.
Catherine, just by looking at you, I can tell whether you're the kind of girl who might be interested in a one-night stand or a romantic, relationship, which would be pretty handy information if I was a Casanova of some sort who didn't want to waste precious time with small talk. So if my boyfriend, who's abroad right now, is listening to this, he better not put this scientific research, into use, even in the name of science. He should think again.
What about Carla? What about any of the other girls pictured in the Daily Mail? Do we know what kind of people they are, really?
I'm not going to call people slags out loud. Read the article. See for yourselves.
Look online, everybody. British Daily Mail. Thank you very much indeed to Marie-Noëlle Bauer for that review of the international press. Stay tuned to France 24.